Thank you very much. To remind members, this formal meeting of the Hertfordshire Growth Board will be webcast live on the internet and will also be recorded and published on the Council's website. All parts of the room can be seen or heard by the camera or microphones, and any members of the press and public present in the room at any time during the meeting are likely to be included in the webcast. Should the fire alarm sound, the fire exits are located in the corners and on either side of the chamber. Please do not use the lift and assemble outside by the roundabout at the end of the car park. Devices for the hard of hearing are available at the top table. So, as we kick off the formal part of the meeting, I'd like to welcome our newest members. Councillor Steve Jarvis, who is running late. He's the new leader of Hertfordshire County Council following the May local elections. We'll welcome him properly when he arrives, I'm sure. Councillor Karina Gander, leader of Broxbourne District Council, and Councillor Sally Symington, leader of Dacorum Borough Council. I'd also like to welcome a number of substitutes who are attending in person today. Councillor Alex Dar, Executive Member for Communities from East Herts District Council, who is substituting for Councillor Ben Crystal. Councillor Sarah Nelms, Deputy Leader of Three Rivers District Council, joining today as a formal substitute for Councillor Stephen Giles Medhurst. Professor Kate Asante from the University of Hertfordshire, who's joining us today in place of Professor Wendy Wills. Also like to formally acknowledge apologies received from Angie Ridgewell, Chief Executive of Herts County Council, who's being substituted by Scott Crudgington. Donna Nolan, who is joining us virtually, apologies from Donna Nolan, who may join us virtually, but is being substituted in person by Ben Martin, and Police and Crime Commissioner Jonathan Ash Edwards also sends his apologies. Today's meeting will be brief, but I'm told it will be highly significant. We will elect a new chair, endorse Hertfordshire's retrofit strategy, and receive an update on the Growth Board's new advocacy strategy. Before we proceed with the election of our new chair, I'd like to highlight some of the key achievements and updates over the past few months, some of which were highlighted in our New Style recent newsletter that members will have received. Of particular note is the Hertfordshire Property Partnership, which supports our Right Homes, Right Places mission. It's made significant strides since 2017. It's secured over £3.7 million in central government funding for local developments. This achievement is testament to the collaborative efforts of local government, Herts Living Limited, Homes England, Health Services, and of course the police. Our Digital Access for All mission has seen the launch of a new digital inclusion service in partnership with Essex County Council. This initiative is set to boost digital access and narrow the digital skills gap, ensuring that residents across the county are well equipped for the future. The Hertfordshire Climate Change and Sustainability Partnership, which leads on our Sustainable County mission, has received national recognition for its retrofit guide. This underscores our collective leadership in sustainability and our shared commitment to creating a greener future. In terms of our all-important world-class economy mission, Hertfordshire Futures continues to champion excellence across our key sectors. It sponsored the 16th annual PING, that's the Pharmaceutical Industry Network Group Conference on 12th of May in Hatfield. More than 120 leaders from across the pharmaceutical and life sciences ecosystem attended, once again placing Hertfordshire at the core of innovation. And of course, as ever, to welcome the chair of Hertfordshire Futures, Adrian Hawkins, who's with us today. For the second consecutive year, the Growth Board has had a really significant presence at the UK REEF, UK Real Estate Investment and Infrastructure Forum in Leeds. Our collective delegation, and I know a number of members here today were present, including myself, presented a £12.8 billion pipeline of opportunities featuring 24 strategic sites focused on town centre regeneration, housing growth and commercial development. Mayor Peter Taylor expertly chaired our Meet the Place Pioneers discussion. It was a packed room bringing together developers, construction companies, digital experts and place leaders to debate the county's future ambitions and the role that the county will play in the country's future ambitions. This demonstrates our proactive approach to attracting investment and to driving growth. I think it really was a tremendous achievement to make the impact that we did at UK Reef, given that it's a sizable event exceeding 10,000 participants. To be able to sort of break through the noise and achieve that kind of impact is a real achievement. And thank you to all of the officers who played a major role in planning for that. Recently, we supported the submission of expression of interest for the development of an AI growth zone based here in Hertsmere. This initiative positions us at the forefront of technological advancement and supports the UK's wider digital growth ambitions. Looking ahead, in November, we, alongside other partners from around the county and beyond, will host a UK, in fact, the first ever UK Screen Investment Summit at the BAFTA headquarters in Piccadilly as part of our UK Screen Investment Programme to attract investment into the screen art sectors. This event will further cement our county's reputation as a hub for the creative industries. We'll also be submitting a Hertfordshire response to the government's industrial strategy. More details on that when we talk about our advocacy work later in the meeting. Taken together, all of these highlights demonstrate our ongoing commitment to driving growth and innovation in Hertfordshire. It's a really exciting and challenging time to be in local government as we increasingly work collaboratively to co-design and co-produce a better future for our residents and businesses. It's even more vital that during this period of transition, we provide stability and continue to ensure that Hertfordshire's voice is heard and its potential is realised. I've been honoured to chair this growth board over the past 12 months, and I hope that during that time we've gone some way towards shifting the growth narrative just a little to focus not just on the narrow metrics of growth, but the positive impact that it delivers for our communities and our businesses. When I stood for this role and we transitioned the leadership of the growth board 12 months ago, I was very inspired by, in fact, Councillor Daniel Allen's comments, where he highlighted the extent to which perhaps the growth board had suffered from a tendency to prioritise lots of talk, lots of strategic planning, lots of, dare I say it, navel-gazing and inward-focused discussion over action. I'd like to think that over the past 12 months, with the huge advances we've made with our advocacy programme, which we launched with the parliamentary reception for the first time ever, the work we've done across each of our key missions and the emergence of major projects like the Screen Arts Investment Programme, where we're not just sort of taking forward a sector within Hertfordshire, but actually we're seeing Hertfordshire take a leading role in the National Growth Mission. We've demonstrated that by coming together, we can actually deliver projects, deliver initiatives, and deliver results. Now, as people are aware, our constitution requires us to vote for a new chair and vice chair on an annual basis. So I'd now like to introduce Jaspreet Lyle, the principal lawyer for Hertfordshire County Council, who will guide us through this process.
Thank you. Good morning, members of the board, senior officers, and to any members of the public watching us today. So in relation to this first item of business, there are three matters that we need to determine today. The first of which, who will be our new chair. The second of which is who will be the two vice chairs. And the third of which is which of those vice chairs will take priority in the absence of the chair. Voting is by way of simple majority. So in relation, and each item will be taken in turn. So in relation to that first item, do I have a nomination for who could be the chair of the committee for the upcoming year? Yes.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to nominate Mayor Peter Taylor as the new chair of the Hertfordshire Growth Board.
And do I have a seconder for that?
Thank you. I'd like to second that nomination of Peter Taylor.
Okay. So, in the absence of any other nominations, I'd like to take a vote on that proposal. We'll do that vote by way of hand. So, all those in favour of that, please raise your hands. 10. Yeah, that's 10 in favour. And any against? No, and no abstentions. Thank you. So in relation to the second item that we need to deal with today, do I have a nomination for who our 2 vice chairs will be for the upcoming year? Thank you.
Can I nominate Jeremy Newmark as vice chair?
Okay. And yes, Councillor.
Can I second that, please?
Second that. So we'll take a vote on that vice chair. So can I take the vote by way of hands? All those in favour? Thank you. And then do I have a nomination for the second vice chair, please?
Can I nominate Richard Henry?
Richard Henry. Okay, do I have a seconder for that, please? Oh, sorry, thank you. Yeah, for seconded. Yeah. So can I take that a vote, please, on that proposal? Thank you. Okay, thank you. And do I now we'd like to deal with the last item. So do I have a proposal in relation to which of those vice chairs will take precedence in the absence of the chair, please?
I don't know if we've discussed this or not. Shall I suggest Richard Henry? Are you happy, Richard, to do that? Yep.
Okay, do I have a seconder for that, please? Okay, and can we have a vote on that, please, by way of hands? Okay, that's all then. I think that's all the items in relation to the first order of business dealt with. So further to that, I'd like to invite Peter Taylor to sit up on the dais, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Sorry, I have scribbled on it.
Thank you, everyone. And I know we always enjoy an election, even if it's a bit North Korean, but thank you very much. I appreciate your support for this role. So if we move, firstly, I'd just like to say a huge thank you to Jeremy for his work as the chair over the last year. I think you described it really well. There's been big changes in terms of advocacy, moving forward with our missions on our major projects. The missions are now well established with clear deliverables, governance structures, and we completed the first round of deep dives to ensure they are progressing and receiving support as needed. We've strengthened our approach to advocacy. We've engaged MPs directly, attending national events, which you mentioned, UK Reef, and even organised a parliamentary reception. Each one of these ensures we are raising awareness of the opportunities and benefits of Hertfordshire can bring to the UK economy if our potential is realised. So if we now progress to the formalities of the meeting, the first is to ask if any members have disclosures of pecuniary interest. Does everyone have anything to declare? There's nothing to declare. Great. Next is the minutes. Members of the board are invited to note the minutes of the board meeting held on the 22nd of January, which was attached to our agendas. Do we need to vote on the minutes?
If everyone can agree.
Can you just indicate if you're happy to agree the minutes as published? Thank you very much. The third agenda item is public questions. No public questions have been received. The next is public petitions, and no public petitions have been received. I welcome Councillor Jarvis. You were welcomed at the start of the meeting. It's good to have you here for the your first Growth Board meeting. Our next item is the local area retrofit strategy endorsement, and that's going to be presented by Neil Hayes. So over to you, Neil, for this item.
Thank you, Chair. Members may be familiar with the retrofit strategy as it's appeared at previous meetings. So there's an element of formality in terms of endorsing the final version of the strategy. But just to remind members that it's been developed over the past 12 months in conjunction with district, borough councils, county council and Herts Futures. And in fact, one of the mission funding went towards the development of that strategy in terms of getting to a stage now we can now put some deliverables together, and we are seeking further funding to take forward the next phase of that work. Effectively, it puts out a roadmap to accelerate that domestic retrofit challenge that we've got, and therefore meeting our shared challenges around climate, health and economic goals. I'm happy to take any further questions at this stage, but given that we've had discussions in previously and you've seen the paper in advance, I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much, Neil. Has anyone got any questions or comments about the retrofit strategy? Can't see any. The recommendations were to endorse the Hertfordshire local retrofit strategy, to support continued engagement with the strategy to engage knowledge sharing, partnership working and collaborative access, and thirdly to encourage internal coordination, to ensure alignment with relevant service areas, and lastly to note the development of a delivery focused action plan to be finalised through collaboration. So are we happy with those recommendations? If we are, can you please indicate? So those have been agreed. Next, as Jeremy mentioned earlier, the important work around advocacy. So we have an advocacy status report as agenda item 6. I'll hand back to Neil to present this.
Thank you, Chair. I'm presenting this on behalf of Lucy Gravatt, who's fortunately for her, on annual leave today, somewhere up in Scotland. You'll have, again, received a kind of a briefing deck, shall we say, that gives you all the information in terms of work. I don't intend to go through all of that briefing deck. I'll just drawing out a few slides in terms of where we are in terms of summary position. But I think, as indicated at previous elements of this conversation in the discussion, that we've made significant progress around advocacy. I think building on that initial Westminster reception, where I think there was a lot of positive feedback from stakeholders and from politicians in terms of the work of the Growth Board and a sense of purpose in terms of where we move forward. Just in terms of flavouring that in terms of activity, we'll be talking in the informal stage around advocacy continuing to play a key role. I think increasingly when we look at the agenda ahead of us, more broadly in terms of devolution, etc., that it's more important than ever that we have a unified voice around growth issues in Hertfordshire, and we really want to make sure that the Growth Board is preeminent in delivering those activities moving forward. In terms of practical work, Lucy's been speaking to all the mission leads to get that more granular understanding of the specifics around advocacy in relation to economy, environment, health, etc. And that work has been fleshed out, as you've seen in that briefing deck, quite significantly. I just wanted to draw attention to some of the work that we are currently working on. Again, we mentioned earlier around Invest Herts and UK Reef. I think, again, that's year 2 now of our presence at UK Reef, and I think we go from strength to strength there. And in particular, our ability to extract some sponsorship from some of our development partners in terms of affording the cost there, I think is significant. And equally, that's sort of 2 packed rooms now we've had in terms of attendance for the message we're bringing across in Hertfordshire, which I think is really encouraging. Around the industrial strategy, we will be taking that forward in terms of a response. Herts Futures, on behalf of the Growth Board, led an initial response, I believe, earlier in the year, and subsequently we're working on a response to the published strategy. I think that whilst there's many issues there that we can be sort of endorsing and supporting of, there are inherent challenges, I think, in terms of the industrial strategy, in terms of visibility. And I think this is where our advocacy approach is really important to make sure that, particularly in an era where a lot of the messaging, a lot of the mechanisms are via a kind of prism of devolution and existing mayors, that we are not overlooked in terms of our economic opportunities and our growth ambitions in Hertfordshire. So I think that will form a lot of the basis of what we're moving forward in terms of around the economy and the economic mission. Equally, the AI growth zone, I think, was something that we weren't prepared for. It was a very quick exercise that we had to sort of seek endorsement in terms of an opportunity to be visible. And again, a quick turnaround in terms of member endorsement and support for that, I think, was really helpful and instructive. We're yet to see the outcome of that in terms of the proposal we put together in terms of responding to government. Hopefully we'll get a positive outcome of that. But I think by nature in itself, that collaboration has enabled us to have a position now in terms of where we want to be moving forward around growth opportunities related to AI and digital, but equally where some issues of challenge there are in terms of trade-offs, in terms of energy use, etc. So it has stimulated a further piece of work which we'll be taking forward in the digital strategy over the coming months. And again, I think we've had various successes in extracting funds in a challenging time. And again, the advocacy role, I think, is really important in terms of taking that work forward. I could talk a bit more in terms of the detail if necessary, but there were my kind of highlights in terms of the briefing deck that you've had in front of you. But happy to pause here and take any questions or queries before we move forward.
Thank you very much for that, Neil. I just had one initial question reading through this ahead of the meeting, which was, I think this work is really important. Are we clear about how we can measure the impact that it's making? I know it's not always easy, but is there a clear kind of measurement of impact?
I think that's the work Lucy's been doing with the mission leads, is to get that more granular understanding of what success looks like, rather than a kind of a global ambition, that we need some sense of emphasis in terms of what that means in terms of economic success, what that means in terms of sustainability, what that means in terms of transport. So that is still work in progress at this stage, but the idea is that strategy will have some more of those metrics in place.
Thank you. Does anyone have any further comments, questions on this? Do you want to come in, Jeremy?
Thanks, Chair. Look, I think first of all, I wanted to, in her absence, thank Lucy for the immense amount of work that's gone into this. I think it always struck me as odd. I took over as chair that we were building this fantastic platform. We had done an immense amount of work in establishing the case for sort of Hertfordshire as a centre of growth, but we were only talking to ourselves about it. And make no mistake, this is a programme that had to be built up from scratch. That there was nothing of this nature in place previously. So I think we've come on leaps and bounds. But I think if we needed a reminder that this must remain an imperative of what we're doing, we just need to look at the fact that astonishingly Hertfordshire was missed out of the creative component of the government's new industrial strategy. So however successful we are being in banging that drum, we clearly need to continue to do this and take it to the next level, because there are at least some parts within government where that message doesn't seem to be getting through. So absolutely endorse everything that's here and think we need to go onwards, upwards and take it to the next level.
Thank you, Jeremy. Certainly agree with everything you just said, particularly about Lucy, and thank you for championing this in your role as chair. Daniel.
Thank you, Chair. As Jeremy mentioned my comments earlier, I would like to say that I have seen noticeable differences and impacts that have come through the Growth Board this year, and I really look forward to seeing them continue. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Daniel. Richard.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I just wanted to endorse what Jeremy was saying, and certainly as we go forward with local government reorganisation and potentially devolution, I think it's really important that we keep on track with what we want in Hertfordshire. And as the Chair-elect of Hertfordshire Infrastructure and Development Board, I'll work very closely with yourself, Peter, and this Growth Board to make sure that our message gets out there. And I'm sure other leaders meet with their relative MPs. We've got a meeting scheduled, I think it might be end of next week, where a number of our asks to government will be made very clear to our MP in Stevenage. Thank you.
That's really helpful. Thank you. Do you want to come back on that, Neil?
Just one point I omitted in the presentation was that obviously the very successful Westminster event, we want to make sure it is an annual thing. So we're going back every year, updating members in terms of progress we've made and elaborating on those asks that we've got coming over the next 12 months.
Thank you. We have a question on Teams, but I'll come to Adrian and then I'll take the question online.
Thank you very much. Just coming to the point that Jeremy was making earlier, the Hertfordshire LEP has been around for 12 years and we're now fully integrated with our county council. And I believe that we have been responsible for driving forward the economy over that period. And we are in a position now where we do have funds available to support the advocacy in the way that I think we all want to happen going forward. So it's truly great that we are now very much integrated into the system of further development of the county. And anyway, I just felt that was worth mentioning. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely is. Thank you, Adrian. And it's great to hear funds are available. I think we've all made note of that. That's good. Kate.
Thank you. On behalf of Wendy, the university would also really welcomes this work and is happy to be involved in contribution to impact or measures to support this as well. So I just wanted to put that out there. Thank you.
Thank you. And apologies, I did say I was going to go online next. So I believe it's Sean's got her hand up. So over to you, Sean. We can't hear you at the moment, Sean. I don't know if we need to, if it's our end or yours. Are they muted?
They can hear online, but we can't hear here.
So I think Sean can hear us, but we can't hear you. Are we able to change the technology up there? Oh, okay. Do you want to try one more time, and then if it doesn't work, maybe if you could type the question?
Yeah, the other people online can hear it, it's just we can't hear us. So it's working. Just don't know that's not feeding.
Really sorry we can't hear Sean. Are you able to write the question in the comments, and then we'll pick that up if that's okay? Apologies, we're not able to hear you at this end. While Sean's doing that, does anyone else have any final questions or comments about this? I'll just wait for anything from you, Neil.
Obviously, this is a process of refinement, so on an annual basis we'll be refining the advocacy strategy moving forward. So again, this is very much a moving feast, and it will reflect the climate of the times, etc. So it was probably going to be a regular update in terms of the future Growth Board meetings. There will be a regular advocacy programme update.
Great. And while we're seeing if Sean has a question to type, could I just take this moment to thank Tammin for all of his contributions to the Growth Board, because I think, Tammin, you're off to pastures new, so we do appreciate you being very engaged with the Growth Board's work for a long period of time, and it has been great to have your input. I can't see anything coming through. If there isn't. So the question is, the strategy would benefit from reflecting the role of public sector partners. Any thoughts on that, Neil? Thank you, Sean, for typing that.
Happy to take that on board. I recognise that it's mostly within the kind of mission construct that we've kind of taken the further work, but happy to have a conversation with other partners in terms of how we move that forward. And again, similarly, when I had a chat with Wendy last week, she's very keen to participate in a more forceful way in terms of the advocacy programme. So we'll definitely take that on board.
Great. If there are no further questions or comments, then we have a number of recommendations. So they are to note the activity set out in Table 1, to agree that the Advocacy Director acts as a dedicated lead officer with strategic oversight from the HGB steering group or another board member, agree for this work to get underway immediately after the board meeting and to note that activity will be funded from existing budgets. So do we agree those 4 recommendations? They have been agreed. So that concludes the formal part